As we mentioned, U.S. and Canada squaring off this weekend. Remember who Canada's coach is? That's right, our old friend Jesse Marsch. Here's what he had to say to CBS about the U.S. players. Quote, a lot of the players that were clamoring to get Greg back, obviously talking about Greg Berhalter, were also the ones that are now saying that it's time to move on. Herc, we're calling this shots fired. What's Jesse Marsch getting at in your eyes?
What's that say? It's a cool network name. Very, very original, cool network name.
Steady.
What's it say right here? I don't even... I've pissed off a lot of people in my life. A lot of people. I really have. Men, women, some kids.
Co-hosts.
Yeah, but I don't think I've ever pissed off anybody like U.S. Soccer has pissed off Jesse Marsch.
Yes.
U.S. Soccer has pissed off Jesse Marsch so much that Jesse Marsch, his camp, his agent, they won't stop talking about it. They won't tell us what happened, but they won't stop talking about it. It leads me to believe that something happened. A singular incident where Jesse Marsch thought the job was his. A handshake, if you will. A gentleman's agreement. Whatever the case may be. He thought it was his. And then the rug was pulled from underneath him. And he's not gotten over it. It can come across as bitter, because it is. But he's right. He is absolutely right. Yes, he is right. In the way that I am right when I say water is wet. Duh! Like, come on. Of course they look like hypocrites. Of course these players look bad now. We don't need Jesse Marsch, who was a candidate and feels very slighted from U.S. Soccer, to go on to his buddy's podcast and say it. You don't need that. You really don't need that. Now, Jesse Marsch, all he's doing is driving the knife in U.S. Soccer even more, kicking them when they're down. It's a low blow. And what's more is these players, many of which he coached. Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Brendan Aronson. Those guys were with him at Leeds. Many of those players were the ones who were vouching for Greg Berhalter. He's taking a dump on his guys. So while he is right, water is wet. While he is right, water is wet. Okay? It's a low blow. And I'm not sure Jesse Marsch wants to be remembered for that. He's got a good thing going with Canada. He learned their national anthem. Just keep going with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to take shots at the Federation. Lord knows us at this show would never back away from anybody that does that. I do think it's another to kind of take shots at the players, especially, Herc, on the eve of this game on Saturday, which I know is just a friendly, but, you know, if it was USA versus Mexico, and this may now be the new class rivalry of CONCACAF, we wouldn't be saying it's just a friendly, right? It's still USA versus Canada. There's still going to be some emotion. There's still going to be some tension. Do you think that it'll be bulletin board material for the Christian Pulisic's of the world, the guys who maybe feel identified by Jesse Marsch's comments? And what do you think the final score will be in Kansas City? Canada or U.S. pulling out the W?
I hope it's bulletin board material. I hope it's bulletin board material. I've been very critical of how tough, mentally tough, this U.S. men's national team has been in the past. To Greg Berhalter's face when he was on our show. I called the team soft, and I said, I know you heard that I called the team soft. They are still that team. I hope they take this, and it drives them. I hope they see these comments, and every single one of them are pissed off. Because if they listen to this podcast, shout out to Jaime and the good guys who do it, if they listen to this podcast, I'm going to give you my scoreline right now, but Jesse Marsch thinks it'll be 2-1 Canada. He is that confident. He went out and gave a scoreline. I mean, he really wants to humiliate the U.S. men's national team, U.S. Soccer. I hope every single one of those players that are in that locker room are pissed off. For once, talent can only take you so far. I don't care who's wearing that jersey. You've been slighted. You've been pointed at. And they're coming for you. I hope you turn that around. And for as far as we're talking about scoreline, I think it's going to be a 1-1 type of game. And hopefully there's a good fan base at this game. I don't know if you remember what the last game in Kansas City was when the U.S. men's national team played. It wasn't pro-U.S. men's national team, nor was it full. I'm hoping, though it will be hot, and if there's any indicator about tonight's Monday night game, there may be some not-so-great weather, but I hope fans show out.
There you go. Let's hope for a good crowd and a good game. I think the U.S. wins 2-0, 3-1, something like that. Yeah. I know they're missing some pieces, but I think the U.S. gets the better of Canada here in this very good game. Even though, and it is worth pointing out, the U.S. notably not at full strength as we hit this international window, missing a bunch of guys, including the Juventus pair of Tim Weah and Weston McKennie. Now, McKennie did play on Sunday. He was a sub as Juventus and Roma played to a scoreless draw. Weah, he's been injured, hasn't played since scoring in the season opener against Como.